Hey, everybody. Welcome into the back room. I'm Andy Ostroy. We have Michael Cohen back with us again. We'll chat with Michael in just a moment. But first, thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate you listening, and we'd love to hear your comments. So email us at backroomandy@gmail.com and or post on our social media, and we'll read some feedback next time. And if you like the podcast, please rate and review and follow or subscribe, and you'll be notified every time we post a new episode. So, Michael Cohen is the former personal attorney for Donald Trump and served for years as an executive in the Trump Organization. He is host of the YouTube channel The Michael Cohen Show, host of the Culpa with Michael Cohen podcast, and co-host of Political Beatdown with Michael Cohen and Ben Meiselas podcast. He's also a two-time New York Times bestselling author. His latest book is Revenge: How Donald Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics. You can also find him on Substack at The Real Michael Cohen, where he writes the newsletter Truth and Consequences. Michael, welcome back into the back room.
Andy, always good to see you, my brother. Always good.
So we've got some really interesting breaking news that hit this morning. Yeah. What do you make of this bombshell, these new emails released by the House Democrats between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, in which Epstein refers to the, quote, hours Trump spent with one of the victims at Epstein's house?
So here's the problem. I don't see these as the bombshell as being reported by so many. I get it. Trust me, I get it. If you are a Trump hater, then absolutely these 3 out of 23,000 emails is the end all be all. Donald Trump is the worst person. He should be hung. He should be nailed to a wall. If you are a Trump supporter, you're turning around and you're saying, okay, give me the facts behind them. Mm-hmm. One of the things as a lawyer, and I am neither, I'm trying to be sort of unbiased in this scenario, which is very difficult. I take a look at these 3 and I say, if these are the 3 worst emails that exist in this 23,000 plus email file, then I don't understand why Trump didn't immediately demand for the full and entire unredacted release of the files.
Well, isn't that okay? So let's stick with that for a second, because it's not whether we should be litigating this over CNN or Fox or wherever, but it's what you just said, that if there's innocence, that there's no criminality there, there's nothing that he has to hide. The question then is, why are we hiding these files?
That's what I can't figure out.
Don't these emails present a scenario where Democrats, independents, and even MAGA has the right to say, why was Trump with a victim for hours? Explain it. Show the files. Tell us what you've been promising us for years, right?
But that's between who and who in those emails. Between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Think about, even as an example, the email between you and I, Andy. We know each other a while, but I wouldn't turn around and say that we're best friends. I would say we know each other. I have more than 3 emails just from you. Now, I have best friends that I go back to since I was 9, 10 years of age. I don't have 3 emails with them. I probably have 50,000 email. Some, let's just say, appropriate, some less than appropriate. Right? These emails don't give me the info, the facts that I want to be able to look at so that I could make a proper determination.
Right. And where do we get those facts then?
Well, they're in the file, which is right. Why I am consistently calling for the release of the full unredacted Epstein file.
So now, why won't they release them then?
That's a question that we're going to have to ask of the president, right? If in fact he's going to tell us the truth. Why? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I am hoping that these aren't the only 3. You turn around and you say, of the 3, one of which I certainly don't understand at all, and that's the comment on the one email about what Trump was or didn't know. And I say, know about what? right? I want to know the what part. What is it, for example, that he threw him out also from the club where he claims that he was stealing people? What did Trump know? What didn't he know? That's the important thing that I want right now. The question we want is, again, not even so much as why, but as what it's all about. Who
Sure.
knew what? And let's just start with that. If they're making this into the bombshell revelation, I'll tell you, to me, the worst of the three emails that were released is the one of Michael Wolff talking to Jeffrey Epstein. That one
Right.
bothered me the most. I've had Michael Wolff on my Mea Culpa podcast twice. I've had him twice on my Substack live. He never turned around and he never told me, despite my questions to him, as to, did you ever offer Jeffrey Epstein any advice?
Yeah, that was
Any
bizarre to see.
crisis management type of advice? Well, in one respect, if you have this info on him, you should use it to get a deal for yourself. If you don't, and he becomes president, use it as a chit, which is something that we're seeing happening right now every single day, which repulses me, including the fact that they went ahead and they moved Ghislaine Maxwell from a maximum security to a satellite camp, where even in the satellite camp where she shouldn't be, she's being given special privilege.
Puppies.
As someone who went through it, I too received special privilege from the correctional officers and the warden. The only difference is they didn't give me a puppy. They didn't even give me a pillow. They would flip my freaking locker. They denied me food for 3 days. They weren't bringing food to my cell or to my locker. They denied me food. Very, very different special attention.
Yeah, well, to put a pin on this, because there's other things I want to ask you about. Trump immediately issued a denial. There's a statement put out by the White House. And the question has to be begged, if you're innocent, if you don't know anyone who's guilty, if you've been promising this to your base for years that you were going to take down this deep state of Democrat pedophiles, and you have all the files, why won't you release them? And that's a question that I think is just going to keep haunting him and haunting
No,
Mike
no.
Johnson and the Senate and Republicans overall.
Well, it'll haunt them until Adelita Grijalva signs on as the 218th member of Congress regarding the petition. And once that petition is granted and they take the vote to the floor, and the vote is in favor of the release of the Epstein file, minus the handful of redactions as it relates to names of victims and maybe photographs that are improper, well, we won't be questioning, oh, well, I think. It doesn't matter what the great Andy Ostroy thinks. It doesn't matter what Michael Cohen thinks or what anybody thinks. The facts will speak for themselves, and then we will know the truth. And then all of this hypothetical bullshit comes to an end.
Hopefully. There's a few people who question whether or not those files may still exist, or at
Now,
least
believe me,
exist in the full.
I'll tell you why that they exist, because those documents existed far longer than Trump has been in office. Every single page in that file has a beta stamp to it. And those beta stamps aren't just in a paper file, they're also in a computer file. And you're not going to be able just to get rid of them. And it's in multiple different locations. I highly doubt that they're trying to scrub it from every government website. I mean, that would be like another Watergate scenario on steroids.
Not likely or possible in this administration.
I don't think so.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope that we all get a chance to see those files someday, because those survivors deserve justice.
They sure do.
Let me ask you about the other news this week, big news, which is capitulation or super smart strategy on the Democrats' part to have 8 of their members put an end to the shutdown. What do you think?
Shame on every single one of them for caving, for rolling over, for bending the knee. You would think that these 8 rolled over, lifted their shirt, and asked Trump to rub their belly, because that's exactly what There's absolutely no reason in the world for them to have done what they did. I've listened to Tim Kaine turn around and talk about why he did it. Oh, the people of Virginia. And so, stop it. All right. 70% of America, 70, that's Republicans, Democrats, and independents alike, all turned around and said the same thing. This shutdown is the fault of the Republican Party. Then you had about 20% said that they hold both parties accountable. Okay, I'll grant that. 7% of the country turned around and said that it is 100% the fault of the Democratic Party. Now, I do want to also mention to your listeners that 7% of our country believe that Elvis is still alive.
You mean he's not?
No, no, no. And he's not hanging out with JFK Jr. and James Dean, on a beach in Puerto Rico.
You're shattering my reality, Michael.
Sorry.
Jeez.
And by the way, let me really mess your head up for a second. The tooth fairy's not real either.
That's it. Let's wrap this thing. So the Democrats have a knack for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. To your point, a majority of Americans said that the blame lies with Republicans for the shutdown. A majority of Americans wanted the extension of the Obamacare subsidies, which is what Democrats were fighting for. They just had a fucking landslide. Like, it was just days right prior, a landslide victory in the elections that took place. And all the momentum, all the leverage was with them. How do you explain the timing of capitulating? It's like sitting around going, hey, we just got all this. This will be a great time to capitulate. Like, how do you explain it?
You don't, no more than you could explain stupidity, right? It's just sheer and total stupidity. It's a fear that they had that it would continue to go on, and maybe it might be politically disadvantageous to them in some way, shape, or form. Maybe, just maybe, since we're going to play the conspiracy game, right? So especially as we talk about, and we already talked about the Epstein files. What if hypothetically some of these major donors, because a handful of these 8 are not seeking re-election, I don't know. Maybe they're seeking a job at Facebook, Meta. Maybe they're seeking a job at Amazon or for an Elon Musk or whoever, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're already speaking to, I don't know, a couple of different political strategy companies, these influencers, so to speak, and that they're going to receive a multi-million-dollar signing bonus to come on and to be, an employee. I don't know.
We went from the entire news cycle, the media coverage, going from, wow, Democrats got their mojo back, they're in control.
Sure.
2 days later, Democrats are having a civil war. They hate each other. They're fighting. They want Schumer to quit. Like, the narrative changed so quickly. It seems like such a stupid, self-inflicted own here. I don't get it.
Because it is. And let's just take Schumer for a quick second. Obviously, Schumer was not one of the 8 that voted in line with Republicans. Question becomes, as the minority leader of the Senate, and has been for a long time, the question is, how come he didn't know that these 8 were defecting? Or did he know? I ascribe to the part that says he did know. Because Schumer rolled over himself the first time around. So this time, after getting the shit kicked out of him for rolling over the first time, maybe he said, I don't really want to go through that again. But what I'll do is I'll sort of play dumb, which is easy for him, and I'll just allow you guys to do this. We'll reopen the House, and then we'll have an opportunity to maybe, possibly, hopefully talk to the Republicans about continuing with the subsidies for the ACA. because that's really all that they got. In law, we call it an agreement to an agreement to agree.
Right.
And in law, there is no such thing as an agreement to agree. That's not a binding contract. It's actually nothing.
And why would they think Republicans are going to suddenly wake up and go, "Oh, we should
Right.
negotiate in earnest with our Democrat friends
Right, because they found their moral compass.
over something
Right.
we hate, over
Right.
something our president hates?"
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, let me also say that while we don't agree, meaning Democrats and Republicans, on many, many things, I think one thing that we all agree is that when your constituents look at you as the devil, it's probably not good for your political career. They realize that the ACA is used and by as many, if not more, Republicans, right, take advantage of the Affordable Care Act than Democrats.
Yeah, I think it's more.
At the same point in time, the same thing holds true as it relates to SNAP benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So you're now going to tell your own constituents, hey, look, I appreciate the vote, but unfortunately, we have our games in DC that we need to play. So we apologize in advance for your hunger. We apologize in advance for your lack of health coverage. Very soon, we're going to have to apologize for you being homeless and so on because of all of the government employment cuts that have taken place. But at least we apologized, right?
Look, the Democrats got punished because they have a moral center, because they have compassion. Republicans sat back and said, look, if children are going hungry, we know that Democrats are going to cave before we have to, because that's just the difference between the parties. But Angus King, right, when he was interviewed.
Anus. Not Angus King, Anus King. And his parents named him appropriately because he truly is an asshole.
He said, we were fighting Donald Trump and we were losing. Excuse me, did you see the election results last week? Did you see all the polling? Like, America was behind you.
How could he? Anus had his head up Trump's anus at the same time. He's a moron. He's a moron.
I mean, I was stunned when I heard him say that.
Stuns me.
Yeah. Let's switch to the election. It was a landslide, top to bottom, left to right, no matter how you slice it, county by county. It should have given Democrats more than a fucking week of feeling euphoric. Unfortunately, that feeling is somewhat dissipated because of this shutdown capitulation. But give me your takeaways on it.
Yeah, again, I called it the blue tsunami that basically wiped the red off of the map. It wasn't just New York, New Jersey, California, and Virginia. There was also Georgia, Mississippi. There were up and down ballots all over the place. Some that were less, let's just say, national, but nevertheless ended up going for the Democrat, and by large margins. Especially there was one in Mississippi that Trump had won by about 17 points. The Democrat just took that election by like plus 40. So you have like a 57-point swing. If that's not enough to turn around and to say, hey, maybe we're actually doing something right. Maybe we need to allow the Republicans to continue to bury themselves because, as James Carville appropriately said a long, long time ago, it's the economy, stupid. And that's what it is. When you can't afford to go to the grocery store and fill up your bag, because at the same time, after this, you're going to go over to the pharmacy in order to fill your prescription medication. You have a problem. You know that if you're cutting back on your food intake to ensure that your child has more than enough in their belly, you know that that's a problem. And when that falls on the heads of the Republicans, let it.
And what about Democrats' leadership? Does Schumer need to step away from his leadership role?
Schumer should have stepped away a long time ago already. He's overdue to leave. The fact, one, that he allowed these 8 to defect and he didn't know about it means that you don't have proper leadership. Worse is if he knew about it and did nothing. So either way, Chuck Schumer's a loser and needs to go. In fact, many of these octogenarians that are there, they need to go. Look, in the olden days, we loved it when our leaders were older. They gray hair like you and I have is supposed to represent wisdom and experience. Here's the problem. Their wisdom, their experience is to use a playbook from the 1960s that is obsolete and outdated. What we need are not people that are going to, like, you listen to like Jack Schlossberg here at District 12. It's one that I may end up running for Jerry Nadler's congressional seat. Oh, well, I know how to fight Donald Trump. Really? Really? How do you know how to do anything other than sit back and collect your family check? What do you know about? And by the way, is that really your platform, that we need to be fighting Donald Trump? How about fight the whole administration? How about fight the entire MAGA GOP ideology? See, the problem is he has no idea what he's talking about, as do most of these people that want to run.
Are we getting a glimpse into the Schlossberg-Cohen debate here?
Yeah, there would be no debate because he doesn't know Trump within which to fight him. And by the way, you think that you even need to fight Trump. You don't. You know what you need to fight? You need to fight the potholes in the street, right? That have whole streets covered by metal gauge and metal floorboards. You need to fight the rebars that are popping out of the concrete that are ripping everybody's tires apart on 58th Street. You need to turn around and answer to your constituents. Don't worry about what's going on globally. That's none of your business. Your job as a member of Congress is to take care of the people in your district first. And if that means that you have to bring stuff to the White House and fight with the administration, absolutely. And if there's anybody that's going to be fighting for that, there's only one person out of that whole list that knows how to fight with them. And that's moi.
Sounds like you're running for Congress.
I'm not sure yet. I got to get the wife.
Let's break some news. Let's break some news here.
Yeah, I got to get the wife and the kids to sign off on that.
What about Hakeem Jeffries?
It's another one's got to go. Got to go. I love the fact that he has the energy to stand up for 30 hours and to speak, right? The same, when they get up onto the podium with their faux anger and so you can't be nice. And that's the problem. Hakeem Jeffries is a nice guy, or at least pretends to be, right? There's an anger. There's a legitimate, not one that's scripted out for you by your writer. There's a genuine anger that people should have when they're the leaders of their party. And he just doesn't have it. Everything is just too casual. Let me be I want to be crystal fucking clear on this one. Hunger is not one that you should take lightly. Homelessness is not one that should be taken lightly. Employment is not one that should be taken lightly. Everything with him is, we're going to hold them accountable. Fuck you and accountability. All right. Yeah. Stop talking about it. Do something about it. We are all sitting here up to our necks in frustration as we sit and listen to them read off from a teleprompter scripts from their script writers that basically use polls to see which one polls better than the other. And that's the win. That's the way that, they allow the wind to swing. It's enough already. All right.
Well, they
you want to be a leader, be a leader.
They had a good fight going there for healthcare for a while, and I just don't understand when they had all the leverage and all the momentum why they threw in the towel on that. I think we'll find out by the end of the year whether or not that was a good move or not. But my money's on the Republicans saying "fuck you." We're not just. We've tried 60 times in the last 15 years to kill that sucker. We ain't giving you shit. But hopefully, I'm wrong. Michael, always a pleasure, always fun, always insightful.
Andy, appreciate you. And I'll let you know if I decide to go forward.
Yeah, let's do that debate right here in the back room.
There you go.
Take care. This episode was produced and edited by me, Andy Ostroy. It was co-produced by Matty Rosenberg and Jen Hammoud for Radio Free Rhinecliff, with additional editing by Matty Rosenberg, music by Andrew Hollander, and graphic design by Cricket Langell. And with a special thanks to our sponsor, The Epicurean. Again, thanks for listening. Please rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the Back Room with Andy Ostroy YouTube channel, where you can watch full videos of our interviews. See you next time.